This was probably one of the most astonishing failures in the work of the United States Internal Intelligence Services before the FBI organized riots at the Capitol began. I mean, of course, on January 6th, 2021, two homemade bombs were discovered. Surveillance cameras captured the same person in a hood disguised. It's impossible to even tell if it was a man or a woman who placed two identical homemade explosive devices and, as they say, vanished, disappeared. Both bombs were discovered in time and defused. Neither the police nor the FBI were able to find any traces, any motives, or anything else except for a few short video recordings. That's how they called him the bomber. And now suddenly a bomb has arrived. Well, now it's a bomb in the figurative sense of the word. The suspect, or rather, I'm the suspect, my suspect. Yes, at that time, meaning as of January 5th and 6th, 2021, she was an officer of the Washington Police. No more, no less, right? So later, after the incident, a couple of months later, she transferred to the CIA. For 4 years, they supposedly searched for the bomber, but they couldn't find anything, nothing at all. So the case was closed, they found nothing, searched for a long time, found nothing. The new FBI leadership, of course, reopened the case and published all the photos and videos related to this, thank God, the failed terrorist attack. And the press, which, accused the Washington police, the FBI, and Biden of covering it up, of evidence actually ended up helping the new, so to speak, administration to uncover it. Well, since it hasn't been proven yet, so to speak, let's call it suspected for now. You ask, what does the press have to do with this? Yes, the press. Basically, these are Glenn Beck's programmers. His television channel is called The Blaze. He's his own correspondent, and his programmers took this on as a project. Yes, so what happened? After getting the video footage of this failed terrorist attack by an unidentified suspect, Beck's people noticed that he had something. Now we know this. She has an almost unnoticeable limp, meaning that when the person turns somewhere or needs to go around something, suddenly this almost invisible limp appears. And after analysis and consultations with specialists, they found out that this kind of limp, this way of shifting from foot to foot, and so on, it can happen after a specific fracture and surgery on the leg, meaning a leg fracture and surgery on the leg. After that, the investigators, let's call them that, went through all the databases trying to find someone with a police or military background. I'll explain now why they were looking for people who had similar leg fractures. And they found one. Greinberg, after studying the case, began to suspect the involvement of law enforcement in this incident. The service dogs found no explosives, though they're trained to detect them. The evidence was lost or handled carelessly. Something got lost, some things from the phone. Honestly, I don't even know which phone they were working with. But the case stated that the data was erased, lost, missing. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable. It feels like this isn't the most important case, as if, 10 bosses are sitting there, and someone deliberately tried to do it so badly as to completely confuse any further investigations. Possible, yes. Now, something is damaged, unfinished, or done incorrectly. This made Beck look for, this kind of enforcer among the security forces. The bombs didn't go off, but they did distract a large number of police from the Capitol. Do you remember what was happening? So I think bombs were planted on the 5th or overnight into the 6th. What happened on the 6th? Do you remember? January, right? So Beck decided that those who organized the crowd's agitation at the Capitol Congress and those who didn't allow the guards, additional police, the security of Congress, basically the control of the situation, the control of the crowd. It's possible they acted together and also organized a distraction for law enforcement away from the Capitol so that they could be taken away in response to the police call. So we have these kinds of troubles. There are 2 bombs, maybe there are more, come urgently, help us. And quite a large number of police officers, just at the moment when the crowd started to gather there, suddenly disappeared. Now,
Kirchhoff, who was in control. Now, Kirchhoff had been a Capitol police officer for 4.5 years. She left the department in mid-2021, right after January 6. And where did she go? To the CIA. This could undermine the tightly controlled Democratic narrative. Capitol police officers killed? No, Brian Sicknick died of natural causes, others by suicide. What's this open investigation? We have a file in a burn bag hidden in a closet at headquarters, but it's still open. Is anyone working on it? No. Actually, we can't discuss it. Yes, many are working on it, but I can't say more. It's an open investigation. Ridiculous. Maybe. A pipe bomb was found on January 6th. All of this is just accusations provided by our friends from the Blaze. But Steve Baker has been digging in this direction for a long time and feels confident. With this new report, which identifies this woman, a former Capitol Hill police officer, as the person who, according to Gait analysis, left those possibly non-functional pipe bombs at the Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee right before January 6th. So, we'll go through the report and then we'll have it covered. Thomas Messi and former Capitol Hill Police Chief Stephen Sand also talks about this. So the people who were directly involved in the events of January 6 who were blamed and made scapegoats, such as former Capitol Hill Police Chief Stephen Sand. Former FBI employees like Kyle Serafim and others are all discussing this. In this report, you can see that Steve Baker and Joseph M. Kahneman from The Blaze writes that this person is a forensic match. So,
does this mean that we have a match between the suspect and the real person?
Here's the full report. A computer program compared the bombing suspect's gait or how he walks to Shani Kirchhoff's. The woman we just saw in the photos gave a 94% match. And we know 100% that gait analysis is a real thing. Because it was in that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger called True Lies, one of the best movies ever made. But Blaze News says forensic analysis shows a 94 to 98% match. The J-6 bomber is known for its unique walk, and this woman also walks uniquely due to breaking her leg while climbing. A source familiar with the January 6 congressional investigation also told Blaze News. Recently, evidence has emerged suggesting possible involvement of law enforcement in the planting of bombs. They use software to analyze gait parameters like flexion, knee bend, hip extension, speed, stride length, rhythm, and variation. Shawnee Ray Kirchhoff, 31, from Alexandria, Virginia, evaluated all of this. It's a 94% match with the January 5th bombing suspect. A veteran analyst told Blaze News that visual observations suggest the program may face difficulties. He checked and said, "Yo, yeah, that's her." 98%. Now, Kirchhoff had been a Capitol police officer for 4.5 years, left the department in mid-2021 right after January 6th. And where did she go? To the CIA. Here's what sources tell Blaze News.
Don't know what's true and what isn't, whether it's her or not. The bomber, I mean, but this bomber acted according to orders. Bombed. But the story fits the picture. Of deception, a picture of a general conspiracy by the Obama administration together with law enforcement to first prevent Trump from coming to power and then to deceive the country's population. For example, regarding Hunter Biden's laptop, to the agreement not to provide evidence of the Bidens and other people's crimes by Ukraine, manipulations with Trump. Like, what they did there was deception and just deception. And on the screen, in newspapers there, on cable news network radio, National Broadcasting Company, Amazon, National Broadcasting Company, and even British Broadcasting Corporation. I talked about this yesterday. Here is the organization of the so-called Trumpist riot. By now, I hope everyone understands that it was a so-called Trumpist riot on January 6th. The lack of protection from provocateurs, participation in conspiracies against Trump, the leadership of the CIA, FBI, White House, and the United States State Department, starting from 2016. So these bombs, well, to distract the police in the Capitol, in my opinion, fit into the picture.
And you're talking about, you mean the same CIA that manipulated the intelligence community's assessment, the one that was presented to Obama, and then they created Operation Crossfire Hurricane and smeared Trump. Yes, you mean the same CIA that, through its official sources with people like Mike Morell and others, created the letter from 51 people about the laptop saying it had all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. You mean the CIA that has already staged events in America, which we've confirmed, and may have been involved in this too, according to sources who told Blaze. Now she reportedly works on teams protecting high-ranking officials, including CIA Director John Redcliffe. Her home in Alexandria, Virginia, near Washington, appeared to be under law enforcement surveillance Friday evening. Blaze News editor-in-chief Christopher Bedford. Hello? He was stopped by local police after asking what was happening, but was allowed to leave. So, the police are at her house. The FBI, after nearly 5 years without solving the case, said it was nearing a resolution once Blaze News Channel involved intelligence sources. Like, oh, they don't know anything, and we ladies are very close. Damn, when you publish your article, great, thank you. She investigated and says the bomb was planted just a few feet from the Falls Church addresses a few days after January 6th, according to Blaze News. They say, former FBI agent Kyle Seraphin also realized on Friday that he had been conducting surveillance near the woman who is now suspected of being the bomber. And he said, the FBI placed us one door away from the bomber for several days after January 6th, and we were deliberately pulled away without any logical or reasonably justified reason. And all of this tells me that they were involved in a cover-up from day one. We were all curious about the video they released of the bomber, since almost all the footage seemed to be missing. And people were analyzing it, but they didn't say that. What kind of camera has a frame rate like 7 frames per second, just making up numbers? But if there aren't any like that, really, people are looking around, I can't find it. Why was this video released with such a frame rate, which, is very slow? We're watching someone use top cameras near highly guarded buildings, but you can't see anything. So why did they do it?
You get it. The police and FBI released a video in which the footage was edited, trimmed down to make the walk and appearance of the terrorist unrecognizable. It turned out in
Radios BRD Tesla. The Virginia bomb case suspect. His team watched the man for 2 days, but Seraphin's request to meet him was denied, and the team was pulled from the case that night. Seraphin said that he had been given some details publicly since 2021. What? He said, I have a personal reaction to this, which is complete confirmation of what I have been saying. My briefings on these issues have always been accurate, and my position has never changed. If they are, this is a cover-up. Someone deleted the cell phone records. We requested them, but they were damaged. No one knows what happened. The FBI traced a Washington Metro Smart Trip card, allegedly used by the bombing suspect, to a civilian Air Force employee, but found he bought it without using it. The suspect used the card to go from Washington to Falls Church after planting the bombs. The Air Force civilian bought the Smart Trip card a year ago.
This is the police. And what were BEK's people doing?
Now, a forensic investigation organized by the Blaze News has shown that Kirchhoff is this woman suspected of planting the bomb. With 98% certainty, several active intelligence sources verified the investigation's findings. The source said the software rated the match at 94%, but he estimated it was actually 96 to 98% using both human and software analysis. Her gait was analyzed using Capitol Police footage from January 6 and compared to unedited video of the suspect in a hoodie walking beside C Street.
So the guys found an untouched FBI video recording somewhere, or maybe they restored it. I don't know if that's even possible or not. That helped them determine the gait, as well as other physical characteristics of the suspect.
To allegedly place the pipe bomb behind the Capitol Club at 816 Post Meridian on January 5th. Two gait analysis experts who reviewed the video and software analysis told Blaze News they agree the samples match the suspect in the gray hoodie's gait. In this video, when the woman turns the corner, that's the most telling part. I don't think this article has any video, but it just looks like kind of swaying her hips as she walks, turning the corner like Bob. The woman carrying it was unexpected. The pipe bomb mystery has lingered over January 6 for 5 years. The FBI said an unknown person put pipe bombs under a park bench, right where Kamala was driving and beside the Republican National Committee. After
After the bombs were discovered, well, an evacuation began in the buildings of the Republican and Democratic parties, right at the moment when the crowd started gathering at the Capitol, there at Congress. A large number of police officers, as I already said, were withdrawn and sent to the two locations where the bombs were discovered.
they were attacking January 6 participants, Blaze News reported Wednesday that Capitol Police surveillance footage shows Kerhoff and other officers repeatedly using non-lethal weapons against the January 6 crowd. At least 16 early attendees were injured above the waist by kinetic projectiles fired from above on the Lower West Terrace. Blaze News contacted several intelligence officials 2 weeks ago with claims that Kerhoff fits the bomber's description and behavior. Her distinctive walk, a slight limp from a broken leg while playing soccer, her 5'7" height, and other factors. We took all logical investigative actions, that's a quote now. Footage of the suspect with a backpack from January 5th was compared to January 6th surveillance videos showing Officer Kerhoff at various locations on the Capitol grounds. She played pro football in 2017, but the pipe bomb video Blaze News analyzed was missing. After FPR Video released the footage, the investigator launched a year-long investigation. He told Blaze News that FPR had altered the footage to lower the frame rate. What we all suspected, we're watching this. Why aren't these cameras working? It looks like it was recorded on a Potato or on a Nokia from like 2004. It is said that, although this shows the same scene as the FPR, the clip used by the Blaze is taken from a different source and is clearly sharper with much smoother motion. So the big question is, what is this source? And, was there something wrong? Was the video enhanced in some way, or is it just unmanipulated footage? And why did they release manipulated footage to us and then suddenly can't find the cell phone data and everything else? Now former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sand told Blaze News that he's looking forward to the results of this. But as a former agency head, he's not aware of any Capitol Police officers involved in planting the bomb. 2 locations. Kamala drove past that one, and this one was by the Republican National Committee right next to the laundromat. It was a 60-minute timer, but the bombs were left overnight, so how would that work? I didn't know this was being carried out, and I didn't know they were doing it with any authorization from my office, said Stephen Sand. I can't think of any valid reason for a Capitol Police officer or law enforcement official to plant these pipe bombs except as a distraction. A solution to the pipe bomb mystery could have major consequences. Officials involved in the investigation say urgent work is needed to determine if there were any accomplices who assisted. Yes, the FBI did it. To determine if federal agencies and employees knew who was involved and helped cover it up, the FBI was questioned about the $490,000 reward. Here is the fake video and $10,000 from Metropolis. FBI Director Ray O, yes, we investigated it. In his testimony, Ray said January 6 was because of white supremacists. Gentlemen,
What I'm about to tell and show you is terrible. It looks like the CIA, the head of the CIA. So at that time, Brennan created a group to participate in an operation to discredit citizens who supported Trump. An officer of the local Washington police, disguised in camouflage clothing, left homemade bombs so that it wouldn't seem like they were very professionally made at the headquarters of both parties. The purpose of these bombs was to distract the police from the Capitol, that is, to clear the way for the crowd into the Congress building. At the same time, the mayor of Washington, Muriel Bowser, I think Bowser did not allow additional police forces to be brought in, meaning she knew about the provocation being prepared. Nancy Pelosi, then Speaker of the House, answering about the building and so on, she did not allow to deploy more security to stop the crowd if the crowd went into the Capitol building. That is, she knew that a provocation was being prepared. What kind of provocation was being prepared? The FBI leadership had, according to various sources, from 200 to 300 agents in the crowd, who at the very least did not interfere, and according to some reports, they provoked the crowd to aggressive actions. That is, the FBI director and some people around him knew about the upcoming provocation and either organized it themselves or helped carry it out. They staged a provocation against the Tsar with 2 bombs. That is, they either directed this operation or actively participated in the part of it they were assigned to. And right now, it doesn't matter which security agency was in charge. What matters is that a group was involved in a vile operation, as a result of which 1,126 people were convicted and 700 people received prison sentences. Some got from 10 to 20 years, and one even got 22 years. The scoundrel Democrats dragged innocent people through the mud, tore them away from their families, children, and spouses. Life works so that it doesn't allow an unwanted president into the White House in 2024. Thank God they didn't succeed. But that doesn't make it any less vile.
I think this is the biggest scandal of my life. There has been a major development in the investigation into the January 6 bomber case. Blaze News has the exclusive. The main suspect is at the highest levels of government, and now Steve is joining me. How long have you been working on this story?
I've been unraveling this for exactly 4 years.
If anyone ever wondered why they made such a big deal out of Steve's arrest, this is why I
was so shocked by what I saw. I immediately took this to a source at one of the most important high-level federal investigative agencies in the country. I told you to see this. After they watched it for about 2 hours, the response I got was, "Damn, he's one of us."
And when you find out the position, it will now involve so many people at the highest levels. What is your level of confidence in this story?
I can provide you with court assessments. The analysis of the person in the hoodie on the evening of November 5 compared to the analysis of this person's gait in their personal life and at work showed a software accuracy of 94%. Then, the human analysis by intelligence experts turned out to be much higher. They saw it and said, "Oh God, they've done it."
In a world that hasn't gone crazy, this would have been a best-selling book and a major blockbuster. When all of this comes out, it will affect everyone. I mean, this is really bad. Very, very bad. Apparently, it just has to be done right because of national security. As I understand it, that's how it is. That's right. So they have to take care of what needs to be taken care of. And then this story will be published.
So the scandal involves the Washington police, FBI agents, and the CIA. Most likely a parliamentary investigation will be launched. By the way, if you want to get content like this, please subscribe and hit the bell. And you'll be notified about interesting and sometimes even mind-blowing news. Public trust in law enforcement agencies will sink even lower if that's even possible. The leaders of the agencies involved at that time will be accused of organizing terrorist acts on United States territory. There may even be trials against entire divisions. Most likely, Congress will demand reforms in the work of law enforcement agencies, the suspension and arrest of their leaders, even if they have retired or resigned. There will be mass firings in the Capitol Police, reforms and arrests in the FBI, splitting the FBI into new structures, arrests and program closures in the CIA, agency restructuring, and changes in federal agencies, currently under the leadership of Trump appointees. And for now, they neither confirm nor deny, as they say, the version about the involvement of law enforcement officers in the bombs in Washington. That simply means they want to be 100% sure before they start talking about it. To my knowledge, neither Kash Patel, Palm Bundy, nor Trump have made any statements about this. So for now, not 100%. But serious investigators, former intelligence investigators from United States agencies say they can bet their life on it. We'll wait and see. Well, for myself, They never expected that their efforts would fail. Trump came back, and what's more, with what we call a mandate. So not only did he win the votes, so to speak, and win the presidency, but he also got the majority of the population to vote for him in 2024. Back after Trump's 45th election, I once spoke and said that the negative press, the hysterical negative press, created Trump's success and promoted his position, even though they kept saying nasty and vile things about him nonstop. But he was always on screen, talked about on the radio. Basically, every device you turned on was talking about him. Trump, 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 and so on and so on. They talked about him constantly. In a sense, Trump 47, Trump, Trump. Created by endless courts, attacks, accusations, and the people got fed up with this overflowing hatred. The people. I'm interested in your opinion, ladies and gentlemen, about what I'm talking about. Does this seem possible to you? Does it sound like the truth, or is it, from your point of view, a lie? That's nonsense and fantasy. Fantasies like a magician fantasizing. Usually after 24 hours, I read all the comments, and if possible, I reply. Sometimes I read them twice, so to speak, 2 or 3 hours after the start, and then I come back the next day and finish reading them. That's what you might call it. So, well, after 24 hours, I don't come back anymore, naturally. Please write, I'll be happy to respond to that. About Alik, maybe, as I said, and hey. You know, sometimes interesting dialogues happen and people join in and also start participating. So is this some kind of additional way of connecting between you and me? Well, and with each other, of course. Just please, no personal insults. You can insult me as much as you want. I even like it, to be honest with you. That's how I am. Well, that's funny. Usually it's because the people who do it don't really know how to do it well. I mean, they're not professionals at it. Well, of course, such low-paid employees like today are paid in Olgino and in Ukraine, very little money, so normal people don't go there. Okay, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We're wrapping up. Until next time.